Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers. Welcome to another episode of The Great Exit with myself, Sayyid Talat Shah, with Mulana Sayyid Raza HUSSAIN Zaidi. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, Washington Irving. He was a non-Muslim. He was an American author, a biographer, historian, and diplomat at the early 19th century. He did a biography of our Prophet, and this is what he said. That our Prophet was a rigorous observer of fasts. He also did not indulge in magnificent clothing, and yet neither his simplicity in dress affected him in any way. He goes on to say that our Prophet treated friends, strangers, the rich, the poor, the powerful and the weak with justice. He listened to their complaints. One of the interesting facts that he says is, in the time of his greatest power, he maintained the same simplicity of manners and appearance as in the days of his hardship. And he was displeased if on entering a room any unusual tribute of respect was shown to him. So it goes to show, dear viewers, that here this Washington Irving is a non-Muslim, and yet when he did this biography, he mentions that our Prophet, despite whether he was going through hardship or whether he was successful in battles and he was getting increase in popularity, he did not change. He remained the same person. And also, he was not happy if anybody came in and gave him an over tribute. So this is our Prophet, alhamdulillah, and this is a non-Muslim who actually has said these words. As you know, dear viewers, we've been looking at previous episodes on our great Prophet, and in particular his aspects of his life that are misconceptions or misunderstandings. So from last episode we looked at Hazrat Abu Talib al-Islam and how he was so significant in Rasul Pak's life and Islam. So this week the link is that we're looking at how significant was Lady Khadija, peace be upon her, on Islam and in the life of Prophet. And also this marks the link as well to the start of our Shahadat of Bibi Fatima Zahra Islam as well. So it's a good link to move on to that till next week. Okay, Malana Sahab, Lady Khadija, peace be upon her. She was very crucial in the life of the Prophet and Islam. Just before I ask you, she was one of those great ladies out of the four of perfection, the most perfect four ladies ever lived. One of them being Bibi Asia, who's the wife of Pharaoh. And then there was Lady Maryam, who was the mother of Prophet Isa. And also there was Bibi Fatima Zahra Salam, the daughter of Lady Khadija, peace be upon them all. So clearly there's a great status in this lady. So hopefully by the end of the program we should cover many aspects of that. So my first question would be then is, who is Lady Khadija, peace be upon her, and what was her position in Arabia at the time, beginning of her life?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. First of all, I'd like to offer my condolences to the Imam of our times on this day of martyrdom of Hazrat Zahra Salamullah alayha. And the topic is her mother Khadija Salamullah alayha, who was a very noble lady, and she had gained a title which was Malikatul Arab, which means the Queen of Arabia. She was literally the Queen of Arabia at that time. She was such a powerful lady. She had built a complete empire of 80,000 camels, and there was a constant trade between the lands of Arabia, starting from Hijaz, which is present-day Saudi Arabia, up to Syria, and not just Syria, also way up to Egypt, and lots of other countries. So that, these camels, 80,000 camels, were always in a constant state of movement from one city, from one place to another. That's how much, that's the, if you can say, the entire strength of the empire of Bibi Khadija Salamullah Alaiha. And you have to consider the fact that these were the times of before Islam.
Exactly.
When people were, that was the time of when Arabs, the stone ages of the Arabs, the worst times of Arabs,
Very harsh,
Jahal.
very male dominated
Yes,
at the time as well.
male dominated and really backward people. So at that time, Khadija Salamullah Alaiha, not just Malikatul Arab, she had gained lots of other titles like Tahira, for example. She was such a pious lady. At that time, you have to, if you just go at the background of that time and the history says that people at that time used to bury their daughters just because they didn't like females. And they used to treat females, they used to think that females are like jinns, they're not even humans. And you can treat women like any way that you want. They're like your slaves, And the women themselves were really so corrupt that, prostitution was at its peak. They used to put flags outside their houses and they used to invite men. And there was no difference between mahram and non-mahram. Like brothers and sisters could marry between each other. During those times, Khadijatul Kubra gained the title of being called Tahira, the purest one. Nobody could see her. She was a muhajjaba. She was in a complete hijab. No one could see her. No one could hear her voice even, And so that proves the fact that even before Islam, she was following a religion, which was Islamic.
Alhamdulillah.
So if she was following the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, arwahuna fida.
I mean, while I was researching this,
Yes.
It did say that the status that she gained, and she kept her, her, like you said, the veil, and also, for example, modesty, and yet it says that the kind of wealth that she gained and the trading that she had, her business was larger than all of the creative trades put together.
Yes.
This is the kind of status she had.
Yes.
So, and again, with that reputation of, like you said, Queen of Arabia, and the purest one, alhamdulillah,
Yeah. So you see, Lady Fatima Salamullah Alaiha, she didn't just come to the world just like that. There's a whole background behind it. There's a background of Bibi Khadija Salamullah Alaiha that we're discussing today.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, just a few days ago in the majlis, that Hazrat Abul Fazl Abbas, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, married a woman, and for Hazrat Abul Fazl Abbas, Baneen was a special lady. She belonged to a tribe which was, famous for bravery. So he married her. So these things are very important. Who's the mother? Who's the father? The family tree.
Exactly.
So Bibi Fatima Salamullah Alaiha, her mother is Khadija. And who is Khadija? Khadija Salamullah Alaiha, her father, his name was Khuwailid. And he was a businessman.
Yeah. A merchant.
Yeah, a merchant.
Yeah.
When he died, Hazrat Khadija Salamullah Alaiha, she inherited all of the wealth of her father, which wasn't a lot. But whatever she had. Now, this is who Khadija Salamullah Alaiha is. You have to understand that she was really a wise woman, and to build an empire like that, you have to have a wisdom to do that. And considering the fact that I was just saying that she built a title of being called Tahira, so she has to stay indoors. Even today in the present day, today in this modern world, if somebody wants to just run a huge empire like that, it will be impossible unless you are there and you're like at that point where the things are bought, where the things are sold. You're at the both ends. You have to be there, right? And monitoring each and every step. But here you have a lady who's confided inside the walls of a house. She doesn't come outside. She doesn't go to the market to buy the stuff herself.
No.
neither does she go to the place where it is being sold. But it is the wisdom of Lady Khadija. She's controlling everything through her mind,
Yeah.
you know, and she has built up this huge empire from almost from scratch, up to 80,000 camels,
Exactly.
you know, who are in the constant, constantly moving from one end to another end of Arabia.
And to have the knowledge of hiring males to carry out those trades as well, to having that knowledge and intuition to
Yes.
hire and these people so that they could actually go ahead.
Well-
I mean, the trading happened between, was it Mecca, Yemen, and
yeah, Hijaz, Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia,
Saudi-
Syria, Yemen, Egypt, you know, so many other countries as well. So it's not just hiring the people, the right people who are managing the business. It's all about what to buy, when to buy,
yeah,
where to sell, when to sell,
Yeah.
for how much to buy, for how much to sell. All of these things come together. And then not just one particular item, so many other items, you know. I'm like, for example, like in a, you have a pound shop, right?
Yeah.
You have millions and millions of items. So, I mean, like, if you don't do the right buying,
Yeah.
you'll lose. You stand to lose everything, right? So, at the same, so Lady Khadija, starting from the scratch, even though she's confined to her house, she doesn't come out. She is still building that empire, and she built it up to a state where nobody could match her, where she gained the title of being called the Queen of Arabia.
and fair dealing, and her goods were high quality.
Of course.
And people were well known to buy her goods, and this
Yes.
is how she gained that status.
course, yeah.
So I mean, all these qualities, man, what we're saying is keeping the modesty, right? And on top of that, you know, fair dealing and giving good quality to the people. So all these are like characteristics of Islam
Yeah.
before the official Islam, if you think of it. So, you know, and also it goes on to say that she used a lot of her money to actually help the poor, the disabled people, even to the point where the girls, she would help to marry them because they didn't have any dowry. So she was
Exactly.
well known for that.
And she was a role model for all of the ladies, not just before Islam, but until the day of the judgment, even today.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can be modest, you can be muhajjaba, you can have a hijab and everything, but then you can be, you know, in charge of a huge empire, or you know, or whatever. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
She set up an example for all of the ladies of the world.
Exactly.
That is the reason that she's one of those four ladies, because she is a role model, not just for that particular time, but until the day of the judgment.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, yeah. And you know, it goes to show that again, you know, we need to highlight the fact that the society at the time was a very male-dominated and dangerous, and for her to be successful as a woman,
Yeah.
you know, goes
Yeah.
to show. And like you said, I mean, you know,
And that just shows that how intelligent Lady Khadija was.
yeah,
You know, and you know, she didn't have a master's degree from Harvard or from Oxford or somewhere,
yeah,
but she had the right knowledge of how to deal in business.
yeah.
She had the right knowledge and the right kind of characteristics that are required for carrying out you know, the merchandise and the business.
I'm just going to bring a side question
Yeah.
into this, Mulana. You know, when you look at her status and what she gained back 1400 years ago, you know, what would you say to the people who say Islam oppresses women today? When, you know, Islam is backwards. When you look at this role model, like you said, throughout time, and this happened 1400
Yeah.
years ago, for her to gain this status, and yet we are labeled, you know, saying that we don't.
you know,
women-
I really don't understand why people say that. They look at you know, the present day Saudi Arabia, where women are not allowed to drive even. Yeah, I mean, here you have Lady Khadija who's handling 80,000 camels of merchandise, but you're not allowed at the same place after 1400 years later down the line. Women are not allowed to drive. They're not allowed to even sit in a restaurant with family members. It's illegal in Saudi Arabia. So they probably look at these things and they think that, oh yeah, Islam is backward. If I was in their place, I would say the same. But Islam is different.
Exactly.
Islam does not allow women to leave their hijab aside. Yes, that's true. But it does not mean that it is a barrier. Well, it's not a barrier. You can go towards the end of the earth if you're a muhajjiba and you know what hijab is. If you can take care of your hijab, you can do whatever you want. Islam does not forbid you to drive. Islam does not forbid you to to do a job or whatever. But you can, if you're a good muhajjiba and you're a good lady, you're a modest lady, you can do whatever. Sky is the limit.
Exactly. And this word oppression that they use is totally different. Oppressed. Now, it's interesting. I mean, I was looking at this, and if you look at throughout history anyway, whether it's in Europe or Middle Ages, women were considered throughout this time weak, foolish. They were given domestic tasks. They were not allowed to take up legal debates. It says they were the property of their husbands, and this is outside of Arabia we're talking about. And and it also even goes to show that they weren't even allowed to actually assist with their husbands' businesses. They were forbidden to act as witnesses in court. For example, it says, I was looking at that Irish law, and it was saying that women were forbidden to act as a witness in courts, and women could only testify towards other women, but not against men, if you like. And if you're looking at oppression, look at the history of everywhere else, and yet here is a lady who's 1400 years ago has kind of shattered that. I mean, I'm just going to get interesting.
If you don't like a lady, all you have to do is call her a witch, and people would burn her alive.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's a Married Women's Act of 1870 in this country. So a Married Woman's Act of Property in 1870, and what it says is a Married Woman's Property Act before 1870 did not exist. So what that means, and I was looking at this, is that the woman, if she earned any money or she inherited money or property, as soon as she got married, everything would be moved to her husband. It would be dissolved, and therefore her husband would take over all her assets and could then use them anywhere he wished as soon as he got married. I mean, look at that. And yet, when the Quran is revealed and
1400 years ago, women have got rights. Inheritance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Prophet comes and introduces aspects of women in marriage, divorce, inheritance, the same coming up to a break. Right. But it just goes to show that if you look at oppression, look at outside what Islam was. Their views were coming up to a break, so inshallah we'll be after a break. Khuda Hafiz.